Hi Leo, welcome to mid-October and the Grand Water Trine, which begins today. If you are a Patreon member, then we've talked a little bit about self-worth and how it applies to the fall and the coming winter. So you can check that out over there. And there will be a series of videos that will be out on Patreon. Just you and I talking astrology talks. And I started with the Leo tier. So here we are. Let's see what comes up before we talk about the rest of the astrology, because Grand Water Trine is probably enough in terms of astrology. It's probably more than what we need to talk about. Going back to New York in a few days, we will be pink again, inshallah. So we have Mars in Cancer. Let's start there. That family, that security, that need to be the protector. You may have felt something kick in a few days ago. I need to take control of this thing, this family, this relationship, this trajectory at work, this project. I can direct this from up above. I can see how this should go. I can see all the pieces. And it seems like nobody else can. And I know how the pieces should go together. I should be in charge of this. Mars and Venus, okay. And then we have Scorpio, Mars in Cancer. And then we have Venus in Scorpio. So Mars in Cancer, Mars in a water sign, then we have Venus in a water sign, Venus in Scorpio. And Venus in Scorpio says, you have no idea about the depths of my desire. You have no idea how deep I can dream and how deep my passion runs for what I want. I want what I want, and I want it a lot. You have no idea. I am the hand that holds out that Ace of Cups to you. I am watery as fuck, but that just makes my determination, my will, that much stronger, because like water, if there is a depth to which water can go, I will go there to get what I want. Venus and Scorpio. And then that triangle meets its endpoint with Saturn in Pisces. Saturn in Pisces, very beneficial for you because it makes things actionable, which you adore and which most people adore. Of course, you can be too useful. We'll talk about that later. But as far as your own ambitions are concerned, the life you see for yourself, Saturn in Pisces is giving you all the right advice. You're around the right people. You're getting all the right signs. You're following your intuition when you see these signs. You like the structure of Saturn in Pisces. And then we have Pisces, that moon card, and judgment. So when we're talking about Saturn in Pisces, this is exactly what I mean. The moon is revealing, right? It gives you that exposition that you need. Explain it, bring it out of the dark. It's not just some nebulous dream out there somewhere that you sometimes revisit. It's not just something you see in a dream when you're asleep and you can kind of piece it together. It's bring it into the light. Bring it into the harsh, really bright light that reveals things that are too smart to come out in the sun. They hide in the sun. This moon card is almost about, it's about it has a deceptive quality to it. It's dark, come out, but here is this bright light where there shouldn't be one really, or where there is one rarely. so rarely that we forget, that our psyche forgets, our subconscious forgets, and comes on out because it thinks it's safe. And there's Saturn going, this is the truth of the matter. This dream is realistic. This one is bullshit. That one, maybe if you worked harder, maybe if you got smarter. And if your Leo is Leoing, it's not pleasant. But if the lion in you sees a life that it wants, this is amazing. This is the mentor that you've always wanted, and this can show up as a person, a program you watch, a podcast you heard, a book you read, a course you're taking, something you stumble across in a shop. You really don't know where you'll get that guidance, but as soon as you hear it, read it, see it, you'll know. And it's very specified, it's for you, it's about your dreams and your ambitions. You'll get those messages of like, you should do this instead of this, or this would be better or not. And it's so good. So there is your grand water trine. Now, what does this mean for you? Bottom of the deck here is the Hierophant, and the tarot is really taroting today. I would like to put, because again, first house Cancer, grand water trine, like it's, it's so heavy that this is what you're getting out of me in the shell. What does this mean for you? You can see all the pieces. You can see all the ins and outs from way up here. You have an excess of passion and commitment and follow through with that King of Cups, that Venus in Scorpio. And then that Saturn in Pisces comes in and says, you can see the overview and you've got the passion, and I can discern where you should apply it and where you shouldn't. Let's go win. Let's go win. This is what winning looks like. Now, if it ends up being a Taurus, or if you have a Sagittarius in your life, we can also talk about that. If you have a Pisces in your life, we can talk about that. Let's talk about that in the Cross Watchers bit, okay? That'll be fun. This kind of does feel like making it, right? The idea of having opportunities that truly fulfill you. Could be romantic, could be financial, but things that make you feel really, really good. Maybe it makes you feel really good to look at your bank account, or maybe it makes you feel really good to see that lifestyle coming to fruition that put you on this road and gave you the fire, or stoked your fire, excuse me. Maybe it's a really steadfast kind of romance and love that comes in. It's something purely abundant, and it's an abundance that builds on itself, and it's very financially stable. It's very secure, and we love that, and you love that. As a fixed sign, you need this kind of resolution to things, whether it's work, romance, family, it doesn't matter. You need things to be abundant and plentiful and stable at the same time. There is a part in True Detective where Marty, season 1, where Marty's talking about, a steady guy was rare. You could have, all these different personalities, the father figure, the charmer, the sneak, the rat. But just being steady was rare. Steady was important to be steady because it was the thing that solved cases, right? This is steady, and it's setting you up to be even more firm in your foundation, regardless of where that foundation is being built. It's being built properly, and you've done such a good job of removing your ego from the equation. And I wonder if it happened all at once for some of you, or if it's been happening over a few years, but there's just no ego to this. This is just you being really open and really receptive and really excited. And it's so positive, and it's so wonderful to see, because you're not getting in your own way. You're like a child. So one of the things that I would like to point out here is that this abundance is perhaps a little bit delayed. You may have to work at this through the month and into November, and excuse me, it may feel like you're running in place or that someone's not noticing, but I'd like to point out why. If all of what we've spoken about here applies to an external, like a person, a job, that's not a passion for you, it's you're doing it for someone else, it will feel like treading water or running in place because it's trying to deter you from that. So don't let that get to you. If you need to, tread water, then do that. But use this trine for yourself, okay? Now, if you're not working for anybody or if you're not using this energy to get into a relationship, seduce someone, get someone to see your worth, if you're not using it in a way that's destructive for you, then even if it's channeled into something that brings you a lot of contentment and a lot of happiness, you may feel that there is a delay. Now, don't let that delay get to you. This is where your pride and your ego's got to kick in a little bit in a positive way. The resilience has to kick in here. Don't let a delay, because the tendency here is going to be, I can see the way it should be done. I have the desire to do it. And I also have this really strict, hardline mentor that's saying it should be done like this because of this and this. And it's going to bring me emotional fulfillment and financial fulfillment. And I can see that. So when we get here to this Wheel of Fortune in reverse, it's like frustration, right? I'm doing everything right. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I know where I'm going. I know how I feel. I know what I'm planning towards, or, what my goal is. What is this delay? Now, I think part of the delay is because you do need a little bit of a reality check about who you can rely on and who you want to rely on you. It may sound harsh because most of you have already culled so many people from your life, but I think part of the delay is to show you, before you get the things you want, how the people around you perhaps won't be there for you even if it goes well, or that you shouldn't expect them to be there for you at all. So you're starting from zero instead of from a negative place, right? Let me explain further here. It's the type of situation where you have to open up to the world about how you really feel. And I can see why success would be delayed until you get to the point emotionally where you can say what's happening with you and not avoid it, not run from it. And if you look at it purely from, let's say, a business point of view, it totally makes sense because you need to be able to address things and deal with things, problem solve, think on your feet and not take things personally. So we're still in some way doing that work of, mitigating the ego, but here the ego can come in and help you because it can be channeled properly. So what if things are slow? So what if you're not getting the momentum, you're not picking up the momentum that you want just yet? Right now, even though you may have felt like you were in the blueprint stage for a long time, right now, the way that you can really masterfully sculpt what you're doing into exactly what you want it's tedious. It's not the most fun thing. It can seem almost like a waste of time because it's like you're making these incremental adjustments, right? Or if you're dealing with a person who's where you feel like in a romantic situation, your luck is all turned around with them, and you're having these sort of incremental, you're having these battles that are leading to incremental improvements. You may be thinking, what am I doing here? What is this for? I don't want this in my life. For some of you, in terms of romance, this shows up as, why do I have to prove anything to you? Are you questioning me? Right? And the way, the most healthy way to approach this is to bolster yourself with your self-belief. You've got to, turn on that internal combustion engine of pride and ego and confidence and all those things that come together within you when you need to press the button and get something done. You're going to have to press that button a few times when you feel like you're not getting the response you want. But again, it's only to teach you that there are certain things that you want, certain responses, certain people, certain successes that either, the person can't be relied on, that success will make you unreliable. There is something to figure out here about the responsibilities that go with the kind of success that you're yearning for, the kind of relationship or committed relationship that you're yearning for. Something has to be sort of uncomfortably taught through a process of problem solving where Saturn can come in and really shine, and you can feel yourself growing and filling in this dream and making it something real. And it's wonderful, but it's agitating, and it's tiring. And yeah, I can see how the last thing you want to do is like talk to somebody else about it, especially if you're spending all your time trying to figure this shit out. You don't want to involve someone else in it, and then all you guys are talking about is the same thing that you're thinking about all the time, right? But try. You may not realize it, but people think very differently from you. Very differently. You have a very unique thought process, and I think you benefit greatly from having people around you who can open some doors that you then end up flying through. You just need someone to point you to the door. And sometimes you get so in your head about something you want or something you're going through that you can't talk to anybody about it. Perhaps because they'll point you to the door, and then you'll have to walk through because you can't not walk through. Once you know something, you know something. That's the fun part about being a Leo. When you know it, your gut, and that's the end of that. The frustration is all worth it. The delays are worth it. You end up with such a solid foundation, surrounded by solid people, surrounded by a solid business, inshallah, everything that you can trust. And it's coming down to trust, isn't it? Saturn's asking you, can you trust yourself with this kind of success? Are you going to wild out? Maybe. Can you trust the bomb that you got with you with this success? Probably not. Can you trust the person who's not texting or calling you back? No. Can you trust the person that you're not texting or calling back? Absolutely not. Okay, let's talk to the cross watchers. Hi, guys. All right. If you are a Sagittarius, stop love bombing the Leos, especially if you're lying, because you're going to get caught and found out. If you are a Pisces, you're probably going to tell on yourself. You guys talk too much. If you are a Taurus, even if you're not doing well financially, don't let that make you run away from what's going on with a Leo. You'd actually really benefit each other right now. So stop trying to play like you have it all together and just, communicate. It won't weaken you, and they won't see you as weak. Now, to all the cross watchers, if you're in a relationship with a Leo, a situationship, you're trying to bag a Leo, you're trying to get them to communicate with you, you're in love with one, you're married to one, you know, they're your parent, they're your child, and you're trying to understand, here's what I will tell you about the fall and into early winter. Leos need a lot of unconditional love and support. And that's never going to change. The only thing that changes is your commitment to that, depending on your energy level, how much you're getting done for yourself, and how much capacity you really have for unconditional love, because some people don't have a lot of that. But if you think there's some way to half-ass it and really skimp on the unconditional love and support and still have this Leo in your life, you're wrong. Now, what does unconditional love and support look like? It's not constantly being in touch. It's not constantly complimenting them. It's not about money. It's not even about going anywhere. None of the normal things that apply to relationships really apply with Leos. They don't want any of that. What they want is for you to be there. You don't have to be there all the time. You don't have to check in all the time. You don't have to let them know you want to be around them all the time. Cats know we want to be around them all the time. You just have to be there when they need you. And you have to realize that it's not transactional. They wouldn't even reach out to you if there was any way that they could do it on their own. And the more you're there for them when they need you, and the more you don't hold it over them in any way, unconditional support, and the more you love them through their journey in this life of self-development, whether it takes them a few weeks or a month or a year, it will make an impression on them, and it will keep building within them until they get to a point where they're like, oh my God, this person is just fantastic. It'll happen right away, but it builds with time as well. Fixed signs are loyalty-based. They live by it. The only way to truly earn a Leo's loyalty is to prove to them that you're as committed and invested in their happiness, their success, their contentment as they are. And what you get back for that, because it is a lot, you know, that's a high price, but what you get back in return is someone who will give you all of that and reciprocate all of that times, you know, the power of the sun. So it's a really good deal. It requires a lot, but what you get back is, you know, beyond measure. But you have to be willing to sort of on spec put that investment in, because they're not going to shine that sun on you right away. No, that's if they trust you. So you're kind of blindly investing that unconditional love and support in someone until, you know, fixed signs hit a limit where they go, this person really is trustworthy. This person really is about it. This person really does give a fuck. And then from there, you start to build together an intimacy that ends up, you know, a few years into it, you're thinking, God, I'm so lucky, right? So if you're not willing to exchange, you know, on that level of value, it's very high value exchanges with Leos, then I think it is easier to admit to yourself that you may have some barriers when it comes to unconditional love, and you may also need to first find that in yourself, you know, because people who don't love themselves hate Leos. People who don't love themselves love to humble Leos. People who don't love themselves or are angry with themselves love to shade Leos. people who don't love themselves love to ignore Leos because it makes that type of person feel like they're getting one over on someone that they know they could never be. Someone they can just tell loves themselves in a way which for that person is unattainable. So if you've been ignoring a Leo, playing games with a Leo, hurting a Leo's feeling, running around behind a Leo's back, it's just you projecting or controlling Leo. It's you projecting how small you actually find yourself in comparison to them. And your way of dealing with that might be to diminish them. That might be your immediate knee-jerk reaction, is to then make them feel bad, because then you can even things out. But what you should know is even if it works in the moment and they feel a little diminished, they remember everything you say. So over time, even if it's very subtle, even if you don't realize yourself that you're doing it, over time they will come to resent you and perhaps even hate you. So if you feel a way about yourself, probably better not to get anywhere near a lion's territory. That's the cross watch. I love you. Sorry about all that. The weather is like, it's messing with me, man. It's messing with me, but it's all good. I love you. I will see you on Patreon, and let's do the preview. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Hi, Leo. Welcome to the preview of your extended. We're not actually getting into the extended. You're just taking a look at the cards because we have so much to talk about in terms of career and money that I feel like it would be too much of a teaser to get into the conversation and then just leave it like that. So that's in the extended. For now, let's talk about one of the most important things that you struggle with from now until mid-December. And it's this tendency towards reactivity. You're a reactive person. Most of us know that about you, and perhaps even some of us love that about you, depending on how mischievous we are. But I think there's something, in general, there's something damaging about being reactive. It can cause many tower moments for you and for the people around you. Now, like I said, that's okay. That's, to know you is to love you. And most often we find that your reactivity is justified. The situation has called for it. That's what makes the next part sticky. This allergy to unfairness, inequality, this sort of propensity for righteousness, it leads your reactive behavior in a really positive direction. And so I think that's why even when we know you can be dramatic, we know you can be emotional, we don't mind. This takes a very strange turn, especially sorry about that. I could hear a fire alarm somewhere in the back of my head. I was like, is that a fucking fire alarm? Okay. It's a fire alarm on Modern Family. Cool. Where this impetus, right, that you have toward the righteous path, where it goes sharply left and you don't even see the turn coming, is when people question your worth, your value, your beauty, and you're reactive to that, just as you are reactive to things that are right and good and deserve your passion. when someone attacks you, when it's personal, that same quality, that tenacity that you have, it turns against you. Because every explanation, every acknowledgement, let alone reaction, is somehow legitimizing the claim. Because you put so much effort into it, because you put so much effort into everything. So the fact that you've even acknowledged that this person has questioned something about you, your value, your worth, your beauty, whatever, your usefulness, your education level, your success level, from, it's happening on different fronts for different Leos, but the message that you're getting throughout the fall is the same. It's like that Rick and Morty episode, show me what you got, prove it to me, prove to me that you're worth my time, my partnership, my money, whatever it is, my companionship, my friendship. And there's two things happening here simultaneously in the Leo mind. Well, of course I'm worth all of that. And also, how dare you question that? And the mix of this will, of course, make you want to defend yourself, make you want to prove yourself. In fact, some of you who are a bit younger may be stuck in a cycle where you're doing just this with a toxic man, a toxic woman, a toxic whomever. Because the most nefarious of us figure out how to cage the ones with the most light. And the way to do it is to get them so stuck on chasing and eating their own tail that they don't notice that you're sucking all their power away. And the only way to do that with a Leo is to get them really in their head about their sense of self. Because see, it starts off by you defending yourself and reiterating your value, your worth, things that are solid in your mind. But the more you have to do it, the more those words are diminished and the belief behind them as well. And the opportunity to defend yourself, the opportunity to advocate for yourself will come up over and over again. And as long as you see it that way, you will react. But what you have to realize is that it's being done not so you'll believe it, but it's being done so you will react, because with every reaction, you will believe your position less. And there's more. That's your preview of the extended. We're going to get into work, money, mental health, physical health. And then we have stuff about resolution. We have this Mercury-Pluto square we need to talk about. And we have this Mercury-Mars business. Anyway, so we're going to talk about all that. The link for the extended is below in many formats. And there's going to be another astrology talk for Leos later this week. This is all making up for, me being late with stuff. But I love the astrology talks, and Leos have taken to them very well. So we're going to keep that going. And I'll see you there. Okay. Love you.